What's up, people? Good afternoon. Got some Seahawks stuff to talk about, but first, just to remind you guys, tonight's stream with the Hawks Nest will be taking place on his channel tonight. Just search the Hawks Nest, it comes up. And our stream is going to happen at 8. We're going to push it back a little bit. We're going to start at about 8 o'clock Pacific. So try to be there. We're going to talk about this Chargers game, talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, and generally we're just going to have good times, I think, because right now, pretty good time to be a Seahawks fan. Life is good. So try to be there. But anyway, so trade deadline talk. Here we are. We got about a week left before the trade deadline, and we might be looking to improve the team a little bit. So I want to walk through some potential options for this Seahawks team if they decide to approach this deadline a little bit aggressively. Now, I listed a few positions in my video yesterday that I think the Seahawks could consider making a move at. We're going to go through those positions in a series of videos this week. Real quick, though, before I get into this, real quick, quarterback, you could, right? You could trade for Justin Fields or Mac Jones, so you get a young guy on a rookie deal to sit behind Geno for the rest of the year. And then after the year, if Geno leaves, you have that young guy ready to go. Honestly, what I saw from Justin Fields last night was the best I've ever seen from him. And if the Bears were watching that game, they might just withdraw their intentions to trade him if they were thinking about it. And the Mac Jones thing, unfortunately, Bailey Zappi wasn't able to have a good game. If Bailey Zappi had a good game, I would genuinely believe the Patriots might consider using Mac Jones as a trade chip because the narrative was shifting so heavily against Mac. But when Zapp went out there and did what he did, it's probably not going to happen. But just to throw it out there real quick, there are a couple of quarterbacks you could trade to acquire. I think that Mac Jones, if he did lose the starting job, like actually lose the starting job to Bailey Zappi, 4th round pick. Justin Fields, if the Bears are just ready to move on, maybe you could do a 4th round pick. So if that kind of trade comes available, okay. But those are really the two main guys that I see. And that's not necessarily something that's going to help the team right now. So I just to mention it real quick, yes, it's a worthy consideration. I'm just not so sure it's worthy of discussing more than just for those few minutes. And honestly, it's kind of a long shot. I don't know if either of those guys would be thrilled to come here and possibly just immediately become a career backup because for all we know, Geno Smith's going to be the guy. So let's talk running backs instead. Let's talk a little bit about running backs that you could get because you've got Ken Walker, who is killing it, but he's a rookie. You've got DJ Dallas, who is fine to get a couple touches here and there, but whatever. And you're waiting for Travis Homer to get back. Rashad Penny's not going to come back. You've got a couple guys on the practice squad who you clearly don't trust that much because you went to go get Tony James. So as of right now, you've kind of got 2 running backs and you have Nick Bellore. So if Homer's going to come back and he's totally fine and he's going to be good to go, obviously it's not a big concern. But if you have any long-term concerns about Homer for the rest of the season because of the nature of his rib injury, you might want to go get somebody else. Now, the fact that we haven't already makes me think that we feel like we don't need to. But in general, I will say this. If we need to get another running back, I am more than happy to go to the free agency pool. If you pull up the free agency pool of available running backs, you've got some guys here who could hold you over for a month, right? Like David Johnson. If you brought him in and gave him the ball 5 times a game for a month, I don't think anything terrible would happen. You've got guys like Carlos Hyde. You've got guys like Malcolm Brown. You've got our old friend, if you go down here far enough, Alex Collins. You've got Corey Clement, former Super Bowl champion to you, Corey Clement. Devontae Freeman. A lot of guys here you could scoop up, and it would have a minimal cost. You know, we're talking veteran minimum, and I don't think they would be radically worse than what you're getting from most of the guys you could trade for. Like, if we picked up Alex Collins and he had 20 touches over the next month, and then he pieced out and hit the bricks after Homer came back at 100%, I don't think anybody would have an issue with that. But if you want to do a little bit better, if you do want to trade for somebody, let's run through some options here. I got three, not a ton, but these are three teams that would consider moving on from a player if they could save a little bit of money. These are situations where I don't think the asking price would be too steep. Now, this first one's obvious. Everyone kind of knows about it. It's Kareem Hunt. He is on the trade block reportedly. The Browns are willing to trade him. And this is a 27-year-old running back who's put up some really impressive seasons in the NFL. He was great his rookie year. He made the Pro Bowl, got kicked out of the league for a minute for off-the-field issues after that, and then went to Cleveland and became a great complimentary back for them in 2020. That year they won the playoff game. So this guy has great ability. He's a great pass catcher out of the backfield. He's a great runner. And we have to consider him if we're really thinking about trading for a running back. This guy would move the needle. So, yes, Kareem Hunt's definitely at the top of the list if you're really trying to improve the team. And he is a guy who theoretically could be there for you in 2023, 2024, because he is relatively young. Because he keeps getting kicked out of the league, he doesn't have a ton of wear and tear on him. And, well, you do have to deal with the karma of having a guy like Kareem Hunt on your team, but maybe you're willing to risk that. Contractually, this is the last year of his deal. He's going to save the Browns a decent chunk of money if they move him. The cap savings for a post-June 1st trade for Kareem Hunt are $4.75 million, and the dead cap is 1.5. So you would inherit the $4.75 million salary, I believe, that you would then have to pay Kareem Hunt. So you are looking at a situation where you would need to set aside about $5 million for him. But because of that, the Browns will probably just look to give him away to whoever wants him. You might be able to get him for like a 5th round pick. Because if the Browns are just done with him, then 5th round pick is better than nothing. I don't know if there's going to be a big market for this guy. Obviously, the James Robinson trade that was done yesterday establishes a pretty low baseline for where these running backs are valued. But Kareem Hunt has done big things in this league that James Robinson hasn't quite gotten to. Although in the case of Kareem Hunt, his best season was a long time ago now. We are 6 years removed from that, basically. There are only two other guys that really caught my attention at all. This guy would be really easy to get. It's Philip Lindsay. He's currently on the Colts practice squad, I believe, and they've called him up a few times. They're probably going to promote him to the active roster at some point here, so you might have to trade for him, but honestly, they might just leave him dangling on the practice squad and you can poach him. I don't know if they're protecting him or not. If they are, then you would have to trade for him, but the trade would be so insignificant, it's not even worth talking about. We're talking like a 7th round pick, conditional, probably something like that. So Pip Lindsay has always been a player that I've kind of liked. He had a really good start to his career in Denver, 2 productive years for bad offenses. And then it just kind of derailed a little bit. He didn't have a great season the next year. Spent some time in Houston, Miami, having a hard time really catching on. He's come on with Indy a little bit because they had the Jonathan Taylor and I think actually eventually as well Nyheim Hines injury. But when those guys get back, Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines, Indy's got the running back position pretty well taken care of. So they might look at a Philip Lindsay and go, okay, we're going to just let you go on the practice squad and let someone else pick you up, or maybe we'll try to get a tiny little trade going for you. The contract is basically nothing, so don't even worry about it. It's an option. Yeah, I know. We get down to the nub pretty quickly here on running backs because, again, there's just so much appealing stuff in free agency for no draft picks and minimal money that I don't think making a trade for a running back makes a lot of sense. But I do have one more name I'm going to throw out there. It's an old friend, J.D. McKissic. He's over on that Washington Commanders team that is decent, but the thing with Washington is their backfield, I don't know if it has a ton of room for a guy like a J.D. McKissic right now. I know they use him a lot as a pass catcher out of the backfield. He's averaging over 3 catches a game. But you've got Gibson and you've got Brian Robinson. And Antonio Gibson's become a very nice receiver out of the backfield as well. So that leaves McKissic in a situation where he's just kind of a gadget player. He doesn't get used that often. He's like a really, really poor man's Christian McCaffrey. And with the depth Washington has in their backfield, even if they're not throwing in the towel on this season, maybe they would consider trading J.D. McKissic for a future asset because their backfield is healthy right now. They've got enough going on without J.D. McKissic. His contract has a bunch of void years on it after 2024. I'm sorry, after 2023. But you would be inheriting some money from 2022, not a whole lot. The dead cap hit. I'm sorry. The base salary for 2022 is relatively low, and then you would inherit his fairly cheap 2023 salary, which is 2.1 base. There's going to be a roster bonus and a workout bonus, so you're looking at about 3 million out the door, 5 million. I'm sorry, 500,000 dead on the Broncos. Sorry, I am all over the place right now on the Commanders cap, and yeah, if they don't see a big role for him and they decide they want to give more opportunities to their other running backs that are playing really well right now, it's got to at least be a consideration. I would certainly at least make a phone call. So those are the three guys I could see trading for. Philip Lindsay, again, I don't know if you even need to trade for him. Just ask the Colts to let him go, and they probably will. It's not like he's doing anything. It's not like the Colts have any reason to dislike us. But that's about it. I'm not seeing a whole lot else that intrigues me on these other teams that might be willing to make a deal. So again, I'm just hitting free agency at this point. Kareem Hunt would improve the team, but just give me Carlos Hyde for a month. Give me, like I said, Alex Collins for a month. I'm good with it. All right, that's what I got. Let me know what you guys think. Sparse pickings in the running back trade market, but those are a few potential options. Did they do anything for you? Let me know. See you guys later. Go Hawks.